In this lesson, for 4, our learning target will be, I can multiply mixed numbers. Please open your textbook to page 281. Real world link. The eye of the giant Atlantic squid is about 12 times as large as the average human eyeball. The average human eyeball is 1 1/4 inches across. Use the bar diagram to compare the average size of a human eyeball to the average size of the Atlantic giant squid's eyeball. So we have to do this 12 times. We're using repeated addition. That the human eyeball is 1 1/4, whereas a squid's eyeball is 12 times larger. So we need to divide this into 12 equal sections. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sections, of which each are 1 1/4. That's kind of hard for me to write in there, it's so tiny. So using the diagram up above, if we filled all of these in, each box with that 1 1/4, we could use repeated addition to find out what is the size of this of the eyeball. So if we counted off, we'd have 12 whole things as we go through here. We'd have 12 whole sections, and then we know we could group 4 of these sections together, which would be another one whole thing, and another set of 4, because 4/4 added together equals one whole thing, so we'd get to add together 1 + 1 + 1 equals 3, so we take 12 plus 3 and we get 15. We could also do this with multiplication. We could say 1 1/4 times 12. So when we multiply mixed numbers and fractions, we can't have a mixed number anymore. So write the multiplication expression from here using improper fractions. So remember, improper means not proper. So this 1 1/4 is proper because it is balanced. We have a whole number and our numerator is smaller than the denominator, but we need to reverse that. We need to get back to improper. So what we can do is take the whole number times the denominator. So 1 times 4 is 4, and we add 4 then to the top and we get 5, and the denominator stays the same, 4. So this is an improper fraction because the numerator is larger than the denominator. So then, once we have gotten rid of our mixed number and made it improper, we can go ahead and just solve a multiplication problem. We're going to have 5/4 times 12. And if we remember from previous lessons, we just put the 12/1. And we're going to use our cross products to simplify. We're going to divide 4 by 4 and get 1, and divide 12 by 4 and get 3. So now we can multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. And 1 times 1 is 1, and this is an improper fraction, so 15 divided by 1 equals 15, which is a match to our addition problem that we used up here. So to multiply a fraction and a mixed number, first we're going to go ahead and change the mixed number to an improper fraction. Remember, that's not proper, meaning that the numerator is larger than the denominator. And remember, when you make your mixed numbers into improper fractions, the denominator does not change, just the numerator. Then we can go ahead and just multiply. So looking at this example, they took 2 1/2 times 1/4. They simply took 2 and multiplied it by 2 and got 4, and they added that to the numerator. 1 plus 4 is 5, and we kept the denominator 2, and then we multiply by 1/4. So 5 times 1 and 2 times 4, and we get 5/8, which is already simplified. So here's another example. They want us to take 1/3 times 1 3/4. So to rewrite this as an improper fraction, 1 3/4, let's write it over here. We're going to multiply by 1 times 4, and we get 4. Then we add it to our 3, and we get 7 over 4. So going back to our multiplication problem then, 1/3 times 7/4. We multiply the numerators, 1 times 7, which is 7, and 3 times 4, which is 12, and it's already simplified, so we're good. On this next example, they want us to start with estimating. 5 1/2 is about 6 whole things, and 1/3 is about 1/2. So 6 times 1/2 is like saying 6 divided by the 2, so that gives us 3, because I only need one group. So starting here, I know my answer should be about 3. So starting here, we're going to take and make our mixed number into an improper fraction. So 5 1/2. We're going to go ahead and multiply 5 times 2, which is 10, and we're going to add it to our numerator. 1 plus 10 is 11 halves. So we're going to have 11 times 1 and 2 times 3. And I'm going to go ahead and look at my cross products. 11 and 3 do not have any factors in which I can simplify, and I can't do that with the 2 and the 1 either. So I can go ahead and just do my multiplication. 11 times 1 is 11, and 2 times 3 is 6. Now this is an improper fraction. I can't leave it like this. So how many groups of 6 can I take out of 11? Well, I can take out one whole group, and then I'd have 5 left over the 6. So again, 11 over 6. I'm going to see how many groups of 6 I can take out. I can take one whole group out, so I'm subtracting 6. 11 minus 6 is 5, and my denominator just comes straight over. That's where I got my 1 and 5/6. Let's try one together and then have you try one on your own. Now 2/3 we can leave the same, but the 2 and 1/4 we have to change. So to do that, I'm going to multiply my whole number in my denominator, which is 4, and add it to the top. So we're going to have 2/3 times, we have 1 plus 4 is 5 over 2. Looking at my cross products, I can go ahead and divide the 2's by 2 and get them down to 1. And I have the 3 and the 5 cannot be simplified, so I'm going to leave it alone. So 5 times 1 is 5, and 3 times 1 is 3. So we're in that situation again. The 5 is larger than my denominator, so I have to rewrite it as a proper fraction. So how many groups of 3 can I take out of 5? I can take out one whole group, which means I'm subtracting 3, which leaves me with a remainder of 2, and I'll keep my denominator the same. So my answer is 1 2/3. Why don't you go ahead and try B on your own, pause the recording, and turn it on to check your work. So if you've done your work correctly, you're going to get 1 1/4. I brought the 3/8 down, and I changed 3 1/3 to 10/3, made it improper. And then I noticed I could divide the 3's by 3, so I simplified down to 1. And I also noticed the 8 and the 10 could be divided by 2, so I got down to 4 and 5. So 1 times 5 is 5, and 4 times 1 is 4, which left me with an improper fraction, which I need to fix. I could take out one group of 4 from the 5, which is like subtracting 4 up here. So 5 minus 4 is 1, and we'd have 1 1/4 left over. Now we're going to go ahead and multiply two mixed numbers. And it's going to be the same procedure. We're going to write each mixed number as an improper fraction, and then we'll use the greatest common factor or multiple our factors so we can simplify ahead of time. So in this example, they took 1 7/8 times 3 1/3. So they went ahead and changed the 1 1/7 to 15/8. They did 1 times 8 is 8, plus 7 is 15 over 8. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10 over 3. Then they found that greatest common factor, that we could divide the 15 and the 3 by 3, so we get down to 1 and 5. And they looked at the 8 and the 10, and they divided them both by 2 and got down to 4 over 5. 4 and 5, excuse me. Now we could just multiply 5 times 5, which is 25, and 4 times 1, which is 4, which leaves us as an improper fraction, which we need to fix. So 4, we can take 6 groups of 4 out, which means I've used up 24. So it's like subtracting 24, and that leaves us then with 1/4 left over. All right, let's take a look at another problem. The Hoover Dam contains 4.5 million cubic yards of concrete. The Grand Coulee Dam in Washington State contains 2 2/3 times as much. How much concrete does it contain? So we're going to take our 4.5 times 2 2/3. So we'll start by getting rid of our improper fractions. 4 times 2 is 8. So 1 plus 8 is 9 halves. So then we take 2 times 3 and get 6. So we add 6 to our numerator and we get 8/3. Then the problem, or the book company already looked at the 9 and the 3 and knew that the greatest common factor we could divide them both by is 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. And the 2 and the 8 can be both divided by 2, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So when we get it all simplified out, we get 3 over 1 times 4 over 1. So 4 times 3 is 12, 1 times 1 is 1, and 12 divided by 1 is 12. So let's try this story problem. Mr. Wilkins is laying bricks to make a rectangular patio. The area he is covering is 15.5 feet by 9 3/4 feet. What is the area of the patio? Well, I know area is length times width. So we're going to be taking our 15.5 times 9 3/4. And before I can multiply, I have to get rid of these mixed numbers. So 15 times 2 is 30. So I'm going to add that to my numerator, and I'm going to get 31 halves. I'll go over here, and 9 times 4 is 36. So 36 plus 3 is 39 over 4. So, unfortunately for us, this leaves us with some really big numbers. 4 and 31 don't have any matching factors because 4 times 8 is 32 and 31 is odd, so we can't divide by 2, which leaves us as the only common factor is 1. And the same thing unfortunately happens to us with the 39. 2 does not go into 39 evenly. So we're going to have to do the big math this time. So 4 times 2 is 8, and now we need to take our 39 times 31. So 9 times 1 is 9, and 1 times 3 is 3. And I'm done multiplying by my 1, so I hold my place value with a 0, and I do 3 times 9 is 27, carry the 2. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So we get 9, 10, 2, 1. So 1,209 feet over 8, which is a huge improper fraction. So we are going to need to now divide. So 1,209, and we have to divide by 8. And 8 goes into 12 once. Subtract and we get 4, because I would borrow. 8 from 12 is 4. So now I'm going to bring down my 0, and 8 goes into 40 5 times. I get 40, subtract, I get 0, so I bring down my 9. 8 goes into 9 one time. 8 times 1 is 8, minus 1 is 1. And if I go ahead and add a decimal and add place value, I can bring down a 0. we get, and actually we don't have to go that far. Let's erase that. We'll just leave it with a remainder on this problem. So our answer would be 151 feet, and our remainder then is, we write as a fraction, 1 out of 8 feet squared. So another story problem. Mr. Conrad's pecan pie calls for 1 3/4 cup pecans, and he plans to make 8 pies for his family reunion. How many cups of pecans will he need? Well, we're going to take 1 3/4 times 8. So we follow our process that we've been talking about. We take 1 times 4 and get 4, so we add that to our 3. So 3 plus 4 is 7/4 then. And we simply take that 8 and put it over 1 so that we have fractions. The problem went ahead and saw that 7 and 1 cannot be simplified, but 4 and 8 can be both divided by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. So now we're going to be at 7 over 1 times 2 over 1, or 7 times 2 is 14, and 1 times 1 is 1. So 14 firsts is the same thing as 14. So he'll need about 14 cups of pecans. All right, go ahead and check in with me and get your practice assignment for today.